And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today on the 28th of January. My God, has January been a doldrum month this year. We got the Beekeeper coming in again at number one. Actually, not again. Coming in at number one. I believe I did call that. 7.4 million, taking only a 13.7% drop. Mean Girls only drops 37.4%. For the number two spot, making 7.29. Wonka made a number 5.9 million. For the number three spot. Migration made another 5.1 million, and Anyone But You rounds out the top five of 4.8. Now, if I remember correctly, I think this is roughly what I called. I might have been off with a couple of placements, but I think this is how I called it. The Beekeeper look. This also goes to show what happens when you don't put films out. People go back to see the films they liked. The Beekeeper has made $104 million against a $34 million budget, I believe. 20 million, 25 million at most in marketing, maybe 30 at most. I'd probably be more inclined to say 30 to 25. But even if I go 30, this film made its money back. In fact, this film's now going to be very profitable. And that goes to show what a good quality, fun action film was. Sometimes we just want a fun action film. And damn it, The Beekeeper is a good action film. Love me Statham all day, every day. I love the fact that he can still bring in the box office, too. So that's great. It is also, by the way, the highest grossing film of the year currently at $104 million. Who would have thought? No, legit, who would have thought? Hey, like I said, it speaks to the quality of the film. People are going back to see it. It's a good time. And what happens when you have a doldrum month? The first 2 weeks of the month, first half of the month, gave us new films coming out. We had new films coming out. But then the most recent 2 weeks had, ISS? No one cared about that at all. Clearly, ISS, let's actually find where that is down here. ISS is at number 13 and only its second week. It didn't take a bad drop. It just didn't open strong. So then we got Mean Girls, which, if you saw on that last page, has currently made $83 million. So it didn't take a good drop in its second week, unfortunately. Now, its third week, I'm actually not surprised. We actually see a lot of films do this, particularly films that do have some built-in fan bases when there's also no films coming out, where the first weekend drop might be on the big side, but then, as you know, that's where the second rush of people come out to see it, and that's usually where the bulk of the money is made. But every once in a while, a film's going to get some legs going after the fact. This, I think, looks like it's going to be one of those scenarios where the legs start to kick in a little bit. Now, granted, we do have new movies coming out as of next week. One, but it's a big one. It's Argyle. That's our first real big film of the year. So we'll see what happens. I believe, if I said correctly, this one's made a 32, about 30 million in marketing would make sense. I don't remember a huge amount of marketing. Well, actually, that's not true. I do remember a solid amount of marketing for this, but it was kind of the same trailer over and over again. I would still be willing to bet about 30 in marketing, maybe 40. If it's 50, oh God, they made a mistake then. Because at a $32 million budget, you should not be putting $50 million in your marketing. I don't care what the franchise is. My guess is you're looking at more 30 or 40. If it's 30, the film then has to hit about 93 million. If it's 40, well, then you're looking at a film that has to hit, roughly speaking, about 108. I'll find the marketing at the end of the year when I try, or I'll do my best anyway to find the marketing. But suffice it to say, it does look like it can at least hit that $93 million realm. I don't know about the 108. That one, probably unlikely. And again, what's the reason for the success of the Beekeeper versus the lack of success for Mean Girls? With Beekeeper, I said it earlier, but just to repeat, Jason Statham's still a big draw. He's a good actor and a great action star. It's a solid action movie. Great performance, stunts, some fun characters, actually. I loved Jeremy Irons in that film. It's like, I can't fucking help you. It's like, do you understand what you've done? He's scared shitless the entire movie, and I love it. He's like, have you ever watched John Wick? This guy makes John Wick look like John shit. That actually would be a good movie to watch. John Wick versus the Beekeeper. But, no. Good movie, Jason Statham. fun action, and it's got rewatchability. You just want to see the stunts again. So there's rewatchability to that. Mean Girls didn't have that draw, actually. With the original Mean Girls, Lindsay Lohan was a big hot ticket item. I think that's another problem with this movie. It lacks star power. Yeah, you got Tina Fey in there. Let me see some of the other cast members whose names I actually recognize. Hold on. Title summary. Let's see here. What now? Cast and crew. Here we go. Cast. Oh wow. None of these guys. Tina Fey's not even in like if I went and looked, I could find some people I knew the name of and like I recognize. There's no star power behind this. These are all relatively, like, I recognized a lot of these actresses and actors, but they're not like household names I recognize. So you're lacking star power, whereas the first one didn't. First one had Lindsay Lohan, was, child star icon. So you lack that. You make it a musical, which is interesting, and I didn't mind the musical segments that much. But you're not really doing anything really original with it. You really are just remaking Mean Girls and adding musical numbers. And while there's parts of it I liked, it really just wasn't a movie for me. And I have a feeling it's kind of the same way for a lot of people, because despite the fact Mike's Theater was pretty packed, and they seemed to enjoy it, I'm guessing maybe they didn't enjoy it as much. Like, not enough to see it again. So I think that is probably the big things that hurt Mean Girls. Meanwhile, talking about films that were not hurt, Wonka continues to keep blowing it up a little bit. It's $552 million. That's insane. It's not going to hit 600. I highly doubt it is. It's still another 48 million it has to do. And it is now really starting to run on fumes day to day. It has had the very big advantage, again, of the doldrum that is January. And it doesn't really need to make any more money to be successful. It is 100% successful. But, like, seriously, I don't think anyone saw it being this successful. They're probably talking about sequels right now. But the problem with that is, I don't know if I'd want a sequel to this. Don't get me wrong. If they made a sequel, I'd see it. Wonka 2 or the Wonkaning, or I don't know. I don't know what you would call it. You can't call it Wonka 2. You can't call it Wonka 2. I'm trying to think of any clever thing you could call it, or somehow figure out the 2 in there. But yeah, I don't know if I'd want it, because he's beginning to, I don't know if I want to see the struggles of him with the factory, or him becoming more and more jaded. Because that's where the story would ultimately end, is in a sequel to this, but before the Gene Wilder one, is maybe like a decade down the road in his life, where it ends with him more jaded. And maybe him coming up with the idea for the golden ticket, maybe in the contest. That's where you'd probably end it. I just don't know if I want to see the character that we got in this movie, who's very likable, charming, had the naive optimism, who by the end of it has learned some lessons and not grown cynical, but definitely now has a bit more of that like world-weary edge to him. Again, that line at the end where it's like, don't worry, I put extra strength. You'll come down eventually. Maybe. Like, and he's just that's a bit of the Gene Wilder one right there. I like that. I don't know if I want to see that character turn into the more cynical version that we get. And again, he's still very whimsical, childlike, but he's definitely been around the block now a couple times. I don't know if I want to see that movie. If they make it, I'll be there because I love this movie, but I don't know if I want to see that. Migration, $5.1 million. $206 million. It is now very much in the profit. It's now profitable. There's nothing else you can say about it right now. It is profitable. And good for it. It's, you know what? Better movie than I thought it was going to be. It's not amazing. I'm not saying it's the best movie of the year. I probably would have put it midway through my animated film list of that year. But still, good time. No alcohol required, as Jeremy Jones would say. Anyone But You, another film that just quietly went on to make $126.5 million against, I think that's another film like in the 30s for its budget. Against that, it barely had any marketing, so good. Like, seriously, good on these little silent but effective films. Like, really good on them. Because we need more box office success in this day and age. We really do. Because with the pandemic, theaters are still to this day struggling. They've recovered, certainly. They've recovered a bit, but they are still struggling. So us going out to the theaters is in support of everything. It really is. By the way, this is one of the lowest weekends I've seen in a while. The top 10, if I were to add this up with a 14, 15, 21, let's see, 20, 21, 26, 30-ish, 31. Like the top 5 barely gets over 40 million, or top 10 barely gets over 40 million. That's a low box office weekend. Poor Things still making money. It's got the Oscar buzz going for it. 51 million. Wow. Is there a budget I can find for a port? I'm not gonna look for it. Is there a budget though for Poor Things? I can't imagine how expensive this film is. I'll look for it later. I didn't put it on the list for the end of year box office because Searchlight Pictures, I believe it's a subsidiary of Fox, which would then be a subsidiary of Disney, but I don't know 100%. But yeah, 51 million. You're talking about it, this also helps the international kicked in clearly. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone are like the two big front runners for best lead actress. And I have not seen Emma Stone. Lily Gladstone definitely would deserve it though. Like seriously, I would not complain either way. Let's see here. Then you get American Fiction, which is also up for some awards. It was only in minor release, limited release last year. Now it's getting its wider release finally. And it seems to be starting to pull some awards buzz, some money finally in. Again, that awards buzz certainly helps. Where does Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom now stand? It did cross 400 million. It crossed 400 million. Look. First one to do it since the original Aquaman. It crossed 400 million. Thank God for the doldrum that is January, because otherwise it was not going to do it. 412 million. I believe, if I got it right, the budget is like 205. It's got about 100 in marketing. You need to hit, roughly speaking, about, 460 million. Look, it's not going to do it. I don't think it's going to do it, but look, the foreign keeps kind of trudging along just a little bit here, so anything's possible. I don't think it will, but anything's possible. But look, it's not profitable, but again, you broke it. You finally broke the streak. The last film in the DCEU finally got over $400 million. Oh, God. How pathetic is that? Like, clearly, I think, I'm trying to remember, I think I said this once, but if you just double the box office of each film in the DCEU after Aquaman, in terms of how well it could have done, and theoretically should have, you would have gotten Shazam making over $700 million. You would have gotten Birds of Prey making over $400 million. You would have gotten, again, Wonder Woman and the Suicide Squad, I can't count in that. That's not fair. But you would have gotten The Flash making about $540 million and still not breaking even. But still, $540 million. The most recent Shazam would have made about $260, not good. But Black Adam would have made almost $800 million. And then you would have Blue Beetle, which would have made about 220 or 240 something. And then you would have gotten this Aquaman, which would have made like 800 and some odd. So hypothetically, if the amount they made had been doubled, just double it, or even if they just made 50% more, the DCEU might not have ended. It probably would have gone through some major overhauls still, but I don't think it would have ended because you actually would have seen films making profit at that point. A lot more films making profit and making over $400 million. But it didn't. It didn't work out ultimately. And so we got what we got. But now we're going to get a completely rebooted DC. And you know what? I'm here for it. I think it is time. I will miss the stuff we got in the DCEU, but I think it is time. We need to refresh it. And some people are going to say we need that with the MCU too. I don't think we're there yet with the MCU. The MCU had other issues that weren't Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is not the problem. Clearly it's not. And Kevin Feige had his power taken away. Disney was saying, "Oh, put all this out now. We want all of this," and they were forced to do it, and the quality suffered. Now he's back. He got the reins. He's back in control. Daredevil's gone through reshoots again. We see Karen and Foggy are back. I've seen those stuff. Looking forward to that. Me, my dad, and my girlfriend are liking Echo, but the biggest problem is the main character. She is not likable. Oh my God, she comes off as an entitled little child, honestly, and a terrorist. So yeah, we're still we like do an off and on thing every week for movies. So every week we're watching a movie in a certain franchise. We're watching the Bond films for all the year, like so long now, and then every other week we're doing like an alternate thing. So we're doing Echo right now. We'll see what happens. I have high hopes for Deadpool 3. Please be good. Godzilla -1, $2.6 million. $2.6 million. $102 million. It's pretty capped out, but hey, crossed $100 million. Good for it. Boys in the Boats. My aunt saw this. She wants my opinion on it. I don't know if I'll get out to see it. It's been out now for how many weeks? Well, how many weeks has it been out now for? 5 weeks. I've actually heard just mixed things on it. Good to negative. How many theaters is it still in? It's still in over almost 2,000 screens, so I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to it. Hey, it looks made almost $50 million. That's a film made on a pretty low budget, so probably. So that's good. Hey, Night Swim. It looks like it will probably be able to make its money back, which good for it. It's at best it got like 20 in marketing. So you're looking at a film like I think I've been saying has to hit what? 50 some odd. It looks like it might just barely clear that, but oh man, worst film of the year. As much as I wasn't a fan of Mean Girls, I'll watch that again in a heartbeat before I watch that film. That was so bad. Origin, good for it. $2.5 million is what it's made. The Iron Claw, another Oscar contender I've heard. Not contender. The actual nominations came out. I can't remember if anything for the Iron Claw got any nominations. I'll look that up later. I didn't do a video this year talking about the nominations. I'm actually not going to be doing any Oscar stuff this year. A, doesn't get a lot of views to begin with, but B, even though I like talking about it, it's just that I don't get around to watching the Oscars live anymore, unfortunately. So it's kind of irrelevant for me to be. I could talk about it, but I still like hearing other people's takes on it, so we'll see what happens. The Zone of Interest. I believe this is a film that's another is another Oscar contender. That is another Oscar nominee. It came out limited release, now getting a wider release because of the Oscars. Oppenheimer got a wide release thanks to a lot of its nominations. Wouldn't you know it? Made just under $1 million, like literally. 400, no joke, folks. Look at that number if you can see it. $435 short of $1 million after getting more screens. Let's see here. Like I said, it's not going to be able to make its money, like hit the $1 billion club with the re-release. But the fact is, it's getting re-released, and the fact that we don't have any real new movies out right now really helped with that extra box office. The Boy and the Heron is pretty much done. Holdovers got another expanded release. Anything else? Book of Clearance did not do well. I did mean to see it, but I never got around to it. Killers of the Flower Moon is also pretty done. There is really no other film. Okay, how about Wish? Did you continue to? Oh, Wish is actually. You know what? Look, Wish is not going to make its money back, but the fact that the foreign seems to be kicking up into gear just a little bit for it. Really, I like to see that Disney didn't have as bad a year as I initially wrote down for my final video for my final box office. Still didn't do well. Let us be very clear. It still did not do well, but it's like every little bit of money it makes is a little bit of money that Disney can say, hey, we didn't lose as much as before. Anyway, I digress. So, and this is kind of like what the box office, the worldwide, looks like right now. By a mile, Beekeeper is the #1 movie of the year. Who knew? And then Mean Girls #2, Night Swim is #1. Anyway, I digress. So, next week's box office. I don't think anyone is going to argue that the new release, Argyle, is going to be number one. It's just going to be about how big it is. Let's check out the Kingsman real quick. Just to get a Kingsman. Kingsman. No, not the Kingsman. Although I liked the Kingsman personally. I actually had a good time with that film. Kingsman: The Secret Service. What did it open to? It opened on 81. No, sorry. No, that's the budget. I'm like, what? How the hell? It opened on 36 million. I don't know what Argyle is currently tracking at, but that does sound what I would expect it to open at. Somewhere in the 30s, maybe high 20s. But maybe I'll be surprised to open up more. And because it's just the first big thing to come out, and God knows how long, it's going to be like 40 or 50 million, which, hey, nothing wrong with that. But it's going to be number one. Afterwards, let's look at those drops again real quick. Afterwards, it's going to be the Beekeeper. Even though the Beekeeper and Argyle are definitely going to be trading back with the same type of audience, I think the Mean Girls are just taking a bigger drop right now. But I will, actually, Mean Girls, if it drops somewhere in that range to 40, you're looking at a film making about, let's see here, if I say just round up to 40, around 28 or 2.8, so you're dropping down below 5. Wonka dropped 12. I'm going to go Wonka. I'm going to go Wonka at number 3. I think Wonka might actually take less of a drop than Mean Girls does. And then Mean Girls. I'll definitely go Mean Girls after that. And then although Migration barely dropped at all too, because there's no other animated films out right now. That's a good, holy crap. You know what? I'm going to be that guy. Argyle, The Beekeeper, Wonka, Migration, Mean Girls. No joke. I think Mean Girls is going to take that big a drop, and these guys are going to take that small of a drop. I might be very wrong. I might be dead wrong. But something tells me that Mean Girls is really going to suffer from Argyle. More so than The Beekeeper, more so than Wonka, and more so. I think Mean Girls is going to suffer more than anything else. Because Mean Girls definitely has some, because Argyle definitely has some attraction for maybe a Mean Girls audience, believe it or not. You got Henry Cannibal, eye candy, but also a very likable actor. You got you got a female lead in there with Bryce Dallas Howard. You got vibrance. You got and women love action too, despite believe it or not. So if we're looking at just the female audience that Mean Girls attracts, I think Argyle might actually take a lot of that. Not all of it, mind you, but a lot of that. We'll see what happens next week, though. What do you think the box office is going to look like? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.